I woke up at 3 in the morning, because of a heartbeat that wasn't mine. At first, I thought I was having a panic attack. The kind that hits out of nowhere, grabs your lungs in both hands and squeezes. I sat bolt upright in bed, chest heaving, eyes wide in the dark. Then I realized it wasn't just my breathing that was off, it was my heartbeat. It was too fast, too loud, and it didn't match my own rhythm. It felt like someone else's heart had been jammed inside my ribs. Pumping, demanding, not sinking. I threw off the blankets, stumbling to the bathroom. The light flickered on, harsh and too bright. I leaned over the sink, hands braced against the cold porcelain, gasping. My own face stared back at me, pale and sweat-drenched, pupils blown wide. And then, I saw it. Right at the base of my neck, peeking just above my collarbone, a faint mark glowed in a soft, pulsing light. Almost invisible. But the rhythm matched the pounding in my chest. Like it was alive, like it was linked. "No," I whispered. "No, no, no." I scrubbed at it with cold water. Nothing. The light didn't go away. If anything, it throbbed brighter, sharper, when I touched it. My skin burned. A wave of nausea hit me hard. I dropped to my knees on the tile floor, gripping the edge of the sink with white knuckles. Something was wrong. Something was inside me. The window above my bed was open. I never leave my window open. The curtain fluttered slightly in the night breeze. I stood slowly, adrenaline drowning my common sense, and walked back into the main room. My apartment was small, just one room with a kitchenette and a narrow bed tucked under the window. Nothing seemed touched. Nothing moved. But the air felt wrong. Thick. Tense. I could feel it. Someone had been here. I didn't hear them. Didn't see them. But their presence clung to the room like smoke after a fire. And then I felt something even worse than fear. I felt relief. Relief that they were gone. It wasn't mine. The emotion wasn't mine. It slipped into me like mist, cool and foreign. Relief, followed by a flicker of heat. Embarrassment. Guilt. A rush of adrenaline, lust. No, not mine, not mine. "Get out," I whispered to no one, clutching my arms. "Get out of my head." But the mark on my neck pulsed again. Stronger. Hungrier. And something deep in my body responded. Like it knew who the other half was. No. No, this can't be happening. I stumbled back to the mirror, digging my nails into my skin, trying to break the glow. It flickered, but held. There's only one thing it could be. One thing that causes this kind of mark. This kind of reaction. A bond. A marking. Someone had marked me. While I slept, my stomach turned. I backed away from the mirror, shaking my head. I wasn't supposed to be able to be marked. I was off-grid, invisible. I've lived like this for years. Avoided the registries. Avoided the packs. Avoided them. I kept my head down. Took my meds. Lived human. This wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't supposed to be Omegic. Not really. Not anymore. But the burning in my skin said otherwise. The foreign heartbeat thudding through my bones said otherwise. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the open window, trying to breathe. My chest hurt. My thoughts raced. Someone had come into my home. Marked me while I was unconscious. Without consent. Without warning. That wasn't instinct. That was violation. But why? Why did it hurt less when I thought about them being here? My phone lay on the nightstand. I grabbed it with shaking hands, opened the Notes app, and typed 3:12 a.m. Someone marked me. I stared at the glowing screen, the quiet buzz of the city outside filtering through the open window. I should have felt violated. I did. But underneath the horror, the fear, and the growing panic, something else buzzed beneath my skin. Something worse than pain. Connection. And it terrified me. MedImmune's office smelled like old wood, dried sage, and something faintly metallic, like rust or dried blood. The room was dimly lit, but warm, with shelves lined in amber jars and worn books that looked like they hadn't moved in decades. A calico cat blinked lazily from the top of a stack of tea boxes. "You're trembling," she said without looking up from her notepad. Her voice was rough, like she smoked cloves or chewed stones. Don't bother denying it. I'm not, I muttered. I was. She looked up over her glasses, taking me in with a slow, unblinking gaze. Show me. I hesitated for a second, then pulled down the collar of my hoodie. The second the mark was exposed, her brows shot up. Ah. She got up and walked around the desk, her bare feet whispering against the rug, and leaned close. The scent of her was powerful: earth, ash, rose hips, and knowledge. Not a full imprint, she said. Not yet. But close. Too close. What does that mean? I asked, trying to stay calm. Can it be removed? That depends. Do you want to survive it? I blinked. What? Madame Yoon tapped the mark with the tip of one cold finger. The spark that shot through me made me jolt back so hard I knocked over a stack of scrolls. Sorry, I gasped, clutching the back of my neck. You're bonded, sweetheart. And not in the safe, sweet, mate-for-life storybook way. This is raw. Feral. Unconsummated. And worst of all, non-consensual. I swallowed. Then get it off me. She tilted her head. Tell me something. Are you registered? My throat locked. She snorted softly. Didn't think so. I'm not like that, I said. I'm not. I shouldn't even be able to. Omega? She said. You are. You smell like storm-wet jasmine under the panic. She leaned back and crossed her arms. You've suppressed it for years, haven't you? I didn't answer. Fine, she sighed. You're what we call submerged, dormant Omega. But the body doesn't forget. And it definitely doesn't forget, once an alpha decides to sink their teeth in. A chill ran down my spine. So, what now? I asked quietly. She tapped the mark again. You figure out who did this, and you tell them to fix it. Because if this connection goes unbalanced, your nervous system will burn itself out trying to sync. Your organs will start to suffer from rejection. First yours. Then his, I whispered. Madame Yoon gave me a long, slow look. You think you're the only one feeling it? It happened 3 hours later, in an alley off the side of the campus library. I hadn't meant to walk there. I was trying to avoid people. Avoid smells. Avoid the throbbing pulse in my neck. But my legs had carried me down this path anyway. Like they were remembering someone else's steps. And he was there, leaning against the side wall, hands in his hoodie pockets, head down like he wasn't waiting at all. But he was. I could feel it. He lifted his head as I stopped, maybe 10 feet away. His face wasn't what I expected. Rough, sharp, weathered, a faint scar down his right cheek. Hair buzzed short, too short to style. He looked like someone who hadn't had a good night's sleep in years. But it wasn't his appearance that shook me. It was the smell. Wood smoke. Earth. Cold iron. And something familiar. I hated that my body reacted first. Muscles tensed. Breath caught. My mark flared in recognition. And pain lanced across my chest. You, I said, barely more than a whisper. You did this. He nodded once. Yeah. The way he said it, flat, like a confession, made something twist in me. I didn't mean to, he added. I didn't even know what you were. Not until after. My jaw clenched. You marked me. I saved you. He shot back. I flinched. I saw you get cornered, he said. 2 betas. Big guys. They smelled blood and fear. Yours. I remembered shadows. Movement. Panic. Hands. I got them off you, he said. You were fading. I didn't think. I acted. I thought if I marked you, maybe no one else would touch you. That doesn't make it okay, I snapped. I know that. You did it while I was unconscious. I know. You didn't even ask. I didn't have time. His voice cracked just a little, before he turned away and raked a hand down his face. Silence fell between us, sharp as glass. I stared at the back of his hoodie. What's your name? Lex. Of course it was something short, simple, forgettable. I don't care what your reason was, I said. You violated me. He turned back, and this time his expression was different. Raw, haunted. I didn't mean to break you, he said. I just didn't want to lose you. I wasn't yours to lose, I whispered. Lex looked down. You're right. I turned to walk away. Wait. I stopped. Barely. I'll fix it, he said. Whatever you want. I'll help you undo it. Just let me explain. Just give me a chance. His voice was quiet. Not pleading. Just tired. I didn't look at him. You already took your chance. And I walked away, each step ripping through my spine like a dull blade. The mark pulsed. And somewhere, behind me, so did his. The first time it happened, I thought I was just tired. I had tried to stay away from Lex for 24 hours, just 24. I skipped class, holed up in my apartment, turned off my phone. Told myself I was reclaiming control. By hour 10, my head was pounding. By hour 16, I was curled up on the floor, sweating through my sheets and choking on phantom air. My lungs felt full of gravel. My ribs ached. Every inch of my skin crawled with the need for something I refused to name. The mark didn't just burn. It screamed. By hour 23, I caved and texted him. Are you nearby? The reply came 60 seconds later. Almost. 2 blocks. I'm running. 10 minutes after that, I heard a knock. I barely managed to unlock the door before collapsing again. He caught me mid-fall, like he'd done it before. Like he knew exactly where to put his arms to keep me from breaking. Neither of us said a word. He just carried me to the couch and sat on the floor beside me, breathing heavy like he'd run the whole way. I didn't thank him. I didn't have to. After that, he started showing up more. Too much. I hated it. I hated how he lingered in the hallway like a ghost with nowhere else to go. How he hovered near the door without knocking, like my pain pulled him close whether I wanted him or not. I told him to stop. He didn't. The second time I opened the door, he was holding a pizza box like a peace offering. I read Omegas like olives, he said, completely serious. I blinked. What? Online, some forum. They were voting. Olives won. I stared at him. You marked me in my sleep, and now you're bribing me with toppings? His ears went a little red. I also brought garlic knots. I slammed the door in his face. 5 minutes later, I was eating the garlic knots. Alone. On day 3 of the forced truce, he brought pillows. Not just 1 or 2. A full trash bag full of assorted couch cushions and folded blankets. I built a barrier, he explained, as he laid them out in a straight line across the floor of my apartment, between the bed and the desk, like a nest wall. So you feel safe. I'm not a raccoon, I muttered. It's a respect gesture, he added, muttering too. Some traditions say it calms Omegas during, stop. Just stop talking. He did. But he still finished arranging the pillow wall, patting one with surprising gentleness. It was dumb. And sweet. And infuriating. I hated how thoughtful he was. I hated how quiet. How careful. And I especially hated how my body stopped aching the moment he stepped into the room. I can't breathe when you're not around, I told him one afternoon, pacing my apartment like a caged animal. Lex sat cross-legged on the floor, sipping tea. I know, he said. I mean it. I snapped. It's like my chest is collapsing in on itself. Like I'm suffocating without you. He nodded slowly. I know. Then, fix it. I can't. Try. I don't know how. I didn't learn this stuff. I didn't even know I could bond someone until you. That stopped me. What? Lex shrugged. Never bonded before. I kept my distance. I didn't think it'd ever happen. I stared at him. Then why me? His eyes met mine. Not desperate. Not pleading. Just sad. You smelled like fear, he said softly. And hope. And something I didn't want to lose. I couldn't do it anymore. I needed space. Even if it hurt. Even if it killed me. So I left. I waited until early evening, when the sun had dipped low and the sky bled orange over the buildings. I tucked my phone into my pocket, told myself I was just going for a walk. I made it 2 blocks before the mark flared. My knees buckled near the edge of the park. I sat down hard on the grass, vision swaying. I gritted my teeth and kept going, dragging myself forward like a stubborn idiot. There was a fountain at the park center, one of those old concrete things with chipped statues and still water. I sat beside it, forcing breath after breath through my burning lungs. People passed by, unaware. My phone buzzed. "Lex, where are you?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. A wave of dizziness hit me like a wall. Then, darkness. I woke up to motion, warm arms, a steady heartbeat, the soft thump of footsteps on sidewalk. I opened my eyes and saw the edge of Lex's hoodie, his jaw tight with focus as he carried me down the street. He didn't speak. I didn't either. He brought me home, tucked me into bed like I was glass, sat in the chair by the door, hands clenched into fists. I turned my face to the wall, breath shaking. I hated this. I hated being weak. I hated being tied. But even more than that, I hated how safe I felt when he was near, how everything stopped hurting the second his presence filled the room. I curled tighter under the blanket. "I hate how my body reacts to you," I whispered into the dark. Lex didn't move. But worse than that, I hate that some part of me feels protected. Then, finally, his voice. "I'd undo it if I could." I didn't answer. I didn't have to. The last person I expected to see standing at my door was Noah. He looked exactly the same. Crisp button-up shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbows. Clean-shaven jaw, hair perfectly combed like it had never known rebellion. A soft leather satchel slung across his chest, bulging with books and glass bottles. Around his neck, a silver chain with a pendant I hadn't seen in years, his purity sigil, as he used to call it. "Hello, little brother," he said, voice warm and wrong. "You look tired." "I'm not in the mood for cult reunions," I muttered, already moving to shut the door. He blocked it with one hand, strong, calm. "I heard what happened." "Did you?" I asked bitterly. "Which part? The mark, or the insomnia?" He tilted his head, eyes sharp but serene. "I'm here to help." "You're here to fix me," I snapped. "Like I'm broken." He didn't deny it. Instead, he stepped inside without asking, his presence spreading like cold air. He brought me back to the place we both pretended we didn't come from. The children's home stood exactly as I remembered. Pale brick, barred windows, a rusted swing out front that always squeaked too loud. Inside, the halls smelled of lemon cleaner and old blankets. A nurse nodded at Noah like he belonged there. He did. He led me to the basement, a converted room he once used for prayer circles and cleansings. I hadn't been down there in 5 years. The space was lit by candles arranged in perfect symmetry, salt lines coiled across the floor like snakes. The mirrors on the walls were tilted just so, enough to reflect me from every angle. I hated it. Noah stepped into the center, laying out a woven mat, a glass bowl, and a small brass blade. "I'm not doing blood," I said immediately. "You won't have to," he replied smoothly. "If the bond is weak enough, intention alone can burn it out." My skin crawled. He turned to face me fully. "River, you know this isn't real." I crossed my arms. "It's a false connection," he continued. "You were vulnerable, injured. Someone took advantage. That's not love. That's infection." I flinched. "You think what you feel is yours?" he asked, gently. "You think the safety, the warmth, that's coming from you? No, it's chemical, engineered. That's what they do. They trap you in instinct." I looked away. "I can set you free," he said. I didn't answer, because part of me wanted to believe him. I sat in the circle. The salt burned my eyes. The candlelight danced against the mirrors, reflecting my uncertainty from 12 different angles. Noah knelt across from me, murmuring words in a language I didn't know, or maybe just didn't want to. He lit something in a bowl, sage, or maybe mugwort. The smoke curled upward, thick and bitter. "Focus on yourself," he whispered. "Focus on the parts that are you. Push out everything else." I tried. I really did. But the second I tried to breathe, my lungs seized. The mark on my neck flared violently. My hands clenched. My spine arched. A scream clawed its way out of my throat. Noah's voice grew louder. Insistent, the chant turned to command. Let it go. Let him go. My vision blurred. My blood felt too thick. I heard my heartbeat in my skull. And then, the door slammed open. Lex stood in the doorway like a storm. But he didn't move forward, didn't snarl or growl or bare his teeth. He just stepped inside quietly, and walked to the edge of the salt circle. His face was pale, lips tight, shoulders squared like he expected to be hit. Noah rose. You don't belong here. Lex didn't flinch. I'm not here to fight. You shouldn't be here at all, Noah said. You took something that wasn't yours. Lex's eyes flicked to mine. He wasn't mine. I know that. My throat closed up. I never wanted to own him, Lex continued. I just didn't want to lose him. Noah sneered. That's not how consent works. I know. His voice cracked, just a little. Lex stepped closer to the edge of the circle, raised his hand slowly, like offering it to a wounded animal. If he wants to finish this, he said, I won't stop him. Good, Noah snapped. But if he dies in the process? Lex looked me dead in the eyes. He should know I didn't leave because I wanted to. The room went silent. Only the candles flickered. Only my heart pounded. And then, I moved. I broke the salt line with my foot, reached down and ripped the pattern from the floor with shaking hands. The magic fizzled out in an instant. The mark on my neck stopped burning, but not because it was gone, because it was heard, because I had spoken. Noah stared at me. Betrayed. You're choosing him? I looked at Lex, at the man who stood like a penitent soldier at the edge of my pain, who hadn't tried to force anything since the first mistake, who waited, who asked. No, I said softly. I'm choosing me. Noah left without another word. The room was quiet again. Lex stood in the doorway, hands clenched, breathing uneven. I sat down in the middle of the circle, surrounded by smudged salt and torn sigils. He didn't move, neither did I. We didn't need words. For the first time, silence didn't hurt. When Lex left, everything stopped hurting. No burning in my chest, no aching pulse in my neck, no shortness of breath or phantom heartbeats echoing through my rib cage. I slept for 12 hours straight. When I woke up, the world was still, and that terrified me more than any pain ever had. The apartment felt hollow, not just empty, but deadened, like something vital had been ripped out of the walls and taken with him. I stood in the kitchen holding a mug of cold tea, staring at the place where he used to sit on the floor, where he used to sip from my chipped mug and pretend not to be watching me. There was no trace of him, not even scent, just silence. That night the dreams started. They weren't mine. I knew that immediately. They didn't feel like memories. They felt like leaks, like thoughts bleeding through a crack between us. I saw a cheap mirror mounted crookedly above a stained sink, a man standing in front of it. Lex, older somehow, exhausted, eyes rimmed red. He stared at his reflection, gripping the sink with both hands, jaw clenched. I just wanted him to live, he muttered. Let him hate me, let him leave. As long as he breathes. His voice broke, and the image faded. I sat up in bed, drenched in sweat, throat tight. The mark on my neck hadn't flared. It hadn't burned. But it ached, quietly, like a scar that hadn't healed right. I went back to Madame Yoon. She didn't even look surprised. He's still alive, I said. I think he's hiding it. Suppressing the connection. She nodded, reaching for a jar of something pungent and yellow. That would track. I frowned. You knew? Of course. She stirred the mixture lazily. He didn't sever the bond. He muted himself. Blocked his side of the tether. Why? She looked at me finally, her eyes soft and knowing. So you wouldn't feel him? I blinked. He didn't want to hurt me. No, she said. He didn't want to keep hurting you. There's a difference. That night, I packed a bag. It took 2 days to find him. A guy at the clinic near the edge of town said he'd seen someone matching Lex's description checking in for stitches. No ID. Paid cash. I followed the thread out of the city and into the hills, past the industrial parks and shuttered diners, until I found a trailer park that looked like it had been forgotten by time. His trailer sat near the back, dented, quiet, slouched under a leaning pine. No car. No sound. I approached slowly, half expecting a growl or a bark or anything alive. There was nothing. I knocked once. No answer. I knocked again, harder. Then I opened the door. The air inside was stale. Not rotten. Just unused. Curtains drawn. Dishes stacked. A sleeping bag unzipped and laid out on the floor, near a dead space heater. Lex sat against the far wall, knees drawn up, arms draped over them, eyes closed. He looked thinner, paler, like he hadn't eaten in days. He didn't react to the sound of the door. Didn't move when I stepped inside. Didn't even flinch when I said his name. I crossed the tiny space and knelt in front of him. Still nothing. His breathing was shallow but steady, like he was there, but had turned the volume down on life. I reached out, hesitated, then touched the back of his hand. Warm, human, real. His eyes opened slowly, and for a second, he looked like he didn't recognize me. Then he blinked. The faintest flicker of light returned to his gaze. "You found me," he whispered. I swallowed. "You didn't make it hard." He gave a broken smile. Didn't try to make it easy either. I sat down beside him. Quiet, unmoving. "I know you thought you were helping," I said, voice low. "By stepping away. By muting the bond." He didn't argue. "But you don't get to make that choice for me." He looked at me, guilt etched into every line of his face. I took a deep breath. "I'm not saying what you did was okay. It wasn't. You hurt me. You crossed a line." His throat worked around the words he didn't say. "But..." I closed my eyes. "I don't want to be without you." Silence. Then, a sound. Barely a breath. A tremor. Lex's hand closed over mine. Tight. Desperate. Real. Rain tapped against the tin roof like fingertips, soft and steady. The world outside the trailer was gray and wet and muffled, like the universe had wrapped itself in blankets to give us this moment. Inside, it was quiet. Lex and I sat on the worn floor, side by side. No lights. Just the occasional flash of lightning casting shadows across the cramped walls. "I didn't think you'd come," he said eventually, voice low. "I didn't think I would either," I admitted. We sat like that for a while. No need to fill the silence. No rush to name what still hovered between us. Finally, Lex turned to me. His eyes were tired but clear. "I can sever it," he said. I looked at him. "If that's what you want," he continued. "If it's the only way for you to be free." I opened my mouth, but he held up a hand. "I don't just mean the mark," he said. "I mean all of it, the tether, the echo, the instinct. Even what he faltered, "even what I feel." The weight of those words hit like a slow, sinking stone. "I'll forget," he said. "Not all at once. But enough. The body will remember you, but the heart won't fight for it anymore. You'll be free." I stared at him, at the man who'd made the worst mistake of my life, and still hadn't walked away from the consequences. "You'd do that," I said, "even if it means losing everything." He nodded. I let out a breath. Quiet. Shaky. "I don't want you to," I said. He blinked. "I'm not choosing this because I have to. Not because my body screams for you when you're gone. Not because of instinct or biology." I turned to face him fully. "I'm choosing this now. Because it's mine to choose." His throat moved as he swallowed. I saw it. Felt the tension in his shoulders. I reached out, slowly, and touched his cheek. No pain. No burning. Just warmth. The first real, unfiltered touch since it all began. His breath caught. He leaned into my hand like it was something sacred. "I don't forgive what you did," I whispered. He nodded. "I don't expect you to, but I understand who you are." His eyes shimmered. Not from tears, he was too tired for that. But something in him shifted, softened. "Come here," I said. He hesitated, then moved closer. I lay down on the sleeping bag, pulling him beside me. Not wrapped in each other, not tangled. Just near, breathing the same air, letting the silence stitch itself between our ribs like something steady. The rain kept falling, a lullaby against metal. His fingers brushed mine. I didn't pull away. The bond didn't demand anything. It didn't roar. It didn't burn. It simply pulsed. Quiet. Present. Real. At some point, I drifted off. And when I woke again, I was still in his arms. Still warm. Still safe. My mark pulsed once, gently. Then flared. Not with pain, but with light. Soft, golden light that filled the room like sunrise. Lex stirred beside me, his hand tightening around mine. "What's happening?" he murmured, half asleep. "It's choosing us," I said softly. "Because I finally chose it." The mark shimmered once more, then settled. It's strange how pain leaves. Not all at once, like a fire going out. More like smoke, fading in layers, sinking into your clothes long after the blaze is gone. But eventually, you stop smelling it. Eventually, the air is just air again. It's been 3 months since the bond flared back to life. 3 months since I stopped fighting it. 3 months since I chose him. We live in a small apartment now. Nothing fancy. 2 rooms, a balcony, creaky floors, and a plant we both keep forgetting to water. The furniture doesn't match. There's a weird stain on the ceiling that looks like a dancing cat. I kind of love it. Lex insisted on taking the smaller bedroom. "I don't need space," he said. "I just need you to have it." I insisted on making him take half the closet. We've been learning each other in the quiet. No big declarations. No whirlwind romance. Just small things. He always leaves the last piece of toast for me, even when I tell him I don't want it. I started locking the bathroom door again, not because I'm afraid, but because I like that I can. We argue about groceries, fight over which side of the bed is less cursed, and disagree on how many pillows a couch actually needs. He says too, he's wrong. There are nights when I still wake up sweating, but it's not because of the bond anymore. It's memory, habit, ghosts. Lex never asks what's wrong. He just puts a glass of water on the nightstand and lies down beside me, close enough to touch, far enough to choose. And that's the difference. He lets me choose. This morning is like most mornings. Light spills through the windows. The city hums softly below. Somewhere outside, a dog barks. Someone's making soup at 9 a.m. again, our neighbor probably. She's 75 and swears broth solves heartbreak. I'm at the kitchen counter, nursing my second cup of coffee, wearing Lex's hoodie and my own stubborn silence. Lex walks in, hair sticking up on one side, rubbing his eyes. He's shirtless. He always is. It's stupid. It's unfair. I'm used to it. Kind of. He goes straight for the coffee maker, and grunts when he sees the pot is empty. "You drank the rest," he says, accusatory. "I did. I had dreams about that coffee." "You dream about coffee more than you dream about me," I reply. "Only because coffee doesn't kick me in its sleep." Liar. He pours himself water, and leans against the counter, watching me. Not in that intense soul-crushing way he used to. Just soft. Familiar. Safe. "So," he says, after a long sip. "Do you still hate me?" I don't answer right away. I lift my mug. Blow on the steam. Take a slow, deliberate sip. Then I look at him, completely serious. "Sometimes," I say, "when you chew that loudly, it's honestly a war crime." Lex snorts. "You mean like this?" He grabs a protein bar from the shelf and takes an exaggerated crunch right next to my ear. I elbow him. He laughs. And for the first time since all of this began, I see it. That smile. The one without guilt. The one without fear. The one that says, "We made it." My body doesn't burn anymore. It hums. It sings. It remembers, yes, but not the pain. Not the trauma. It remembers the moment I chose to stay. The moment he chose to step back. The way the mark changed from something that chained me into something I welcomed. We still have work to do. There are still boundaries. Still hard conversations. Still parts of me healing from things I haven't fully named. But he's here. And I'm not afraid. And that, more than anything, is what love looks like now. Quiet. Earned. Alive.